Welcome to Midlife Moxy. I'm Gail,
And I'm Jen.
and we're back with another episode on looking your best in midlife. And today we have a hot topic, don't we, Jen?
I love this topic. In fact, when you and I were talking about it, we just kept coming up with more and more and more and more things to talk about. So,
Right? It's because we see it every day. So we're going to talk about where you're going wrong and the top mistakes people make when trying to find their color top or their best colors. Because we see these discussions go on in not only our groups, but other groups that we belong to. In daily conversations, people will say things to me. I'm like, no, that's not it. No, that's
no, and honestly, there are the people, I just trained a group of personal stylists, like early last week, on color, color theory and stuff. And even they were asking me questions that I'm like, nope, that's not a thing. Nope, that's not a thing. Let's talk about what really matters. So today, right, we have,
well, first off, it's not your fault.
yeah,
You're told these things, and there's even some color systems that acknowledge some of these things. And I think acknowledging something as being part of the process and acknowledging it as a proven theory are two different things, right?
yeah. And I mean, the thing is that whoever says some of these, I'm going to use the word myths, even though that but if it happens to work out for you, then therefore it becomes true for you. And the thing is that we look for things that are true across the board for every type of person, not one thing that might work for this person. And if it happens to be you, you got lucky. That's
Right, right.
that's that's not helping anybody, right? And so yeah, we want to kind of dispel the myths and really help you find the colors that really make you shine, right?
I love it.
Yeah.
So, you ready to jump in?
Let's jump in. You want to start with the
And I have
first
one that
one?
wasn't even on the list that I have to say right now.
Okay.
Okay. Stop listening to the wrong people. There are people out there who, one, do not have a natural eye for color and they are untrained, but they've known you all your life and they mean well. But the way they see you is not objectively. And the way they feel about color comes through. You and I are both trained professionals. We have bias. I can tell you some colors I just don't like that color peanut. Me and peanut, we're just not friends. But I would not hesitate to put that on a client when I know it's right for her because
Right.
we have that objectivity. And what I have found in the beauty industry, I want you to speak to this as far as the color industry. I have helped people make changes before, and some of their sister, their mother, their best friend who is wholly uneducated
Yeah.
doesn't like it because they didn't like the change.
Yes. That is 100% true. I mean, how many customers have we seen, Gail, that come through that they'll say things like, well, there's a couple of things. They'll say, well, my mother always told me that I look terrible in pink. For example, we were talking about pink this month, so that's top of mind. And so you hold on to that because, well, if your mother said it, well, then it must be true. And so we have to kind of back up and be a little bit more, help the person become more objective to say, your mother meant well. She has her own bias, but there's definitely pink that's going to make you look amazing. And I think at the same time too, like you said, when you show up, this doesn't happen. Here's the thing. This doesn't happen all the time, but I can tell you that it absolutely happened to me when I was going through, when I was going through divorce, and most importantly, before we actually separated. Um, I was starting to kind of pay attention to clothes I was wearing, colors that made me look really good. And the better that I looked, the more resistance I got from my husband, because change is hard. It's not that he didn't want me to look attractive, but it just doesn't fit into the definition he had of who I was. And now that I'm changing, he just wasn't, you know, he wasn't staying there with me. He's feeling like he's maybe
Well, and I
being left
think
behind.
change
I don't
is
know.
something that is often hard for people around us to handle Because sometimes when you up your game, and a lot of women have seen this, when you're making more money or you get a
Yeah.
promotion or you
Yeah.
get married, sometimes the people you thought would be so excited for you and so happy for you are actually,
Yeah.
um, sometimes it's jealousy, but sometimes it's also your change shines a light on what they're not doing or where they're not. And
Yeah.
I want to keep you back in this safe zone with them.
Yeah.
I'm not
And
saying
they
you
don't mean
have
it. They
those
don't mean
people in your
harm.
lives, but you may have some people in your lives that are not comfortable with your new look or your um, resurgence here in midlife to get to your best self. And those people sometimes are people that serve us for a season, but may not be on the long haul, because we really do
Yeah.
have to surround ourselves with our cheerleaders,
Yep.
honest friends who'll say that looks like crap. And I always say, give a change, give it a minute. Go out into the public,
Yeah.
go out around groups of people and see what the general consensus is. Are you
Yeah.
starting to get compliments? Are people saying things that normally don't? And so give it a minute anytime you make a change. And also, people don't let the change bear out completely. Like, for instance, they may modify their hair color a little bit, but they haven't updated their makeup yet. So there's still a little bit of um, things
Yeah.
are a little bit not perfect yet. Let the whole process play through when you're looking at changing your colors, because you're not going to just wake up tomorrow and have a wardrobe in all your
Right.
best colors. So
Right.
you may have to give that a little bit of time, I think.
Definitely. All right.
Okay.
Good one.
Next
Surround
one.
yourself with people that celebrate you. Okay.
What you
Second
got?
one, which is, I have a hardcore opinion on this one, and that is the color of your veins dictates your undertones. Now, for
Oh
those of
God,
you
we're gonna
listening
say
that
that
don't
one
know
more
what that is, undertones is basically an underlying coolness or warmth, depending on who you are, that helps you find colors that are most flattering. Um, Gail has
Okay,
cool
let me ask
undertones.
you
I
about
have
that.
what?
Let me ask you about that. Would it be
Yeah.
correct to say it's the color of your skin innately, meaning that it's your color of your skin without sun damage,
Mhm.
suntan, skin conditions, rosacea,
Right. All
pimples,
those things.
anything else that is more on that exterior of your skin. Is that fair to say?
Yes, it is fair to say, but I would still say that there's people that still appear very neutral and doesn't always give them the clues that we're looking for. But it's definitely fair to say. But we always lean one way, right? So people who are watching this on video, Gail has cool undertones. I have warm. The lighting is actually pretty good on both, so you can actually see it. If I just scoot over to the grid, I mean, you can see the warmth and that you may
And my
not see if you
glasses
saw me
have
in
a
person.
tint, a blue blocking tint. So if I take
Yeah.
those off, especially if you look like on the inside of my arm, I'm so white, 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 girl, white. Now I do have some gold in my skin, but it's mostly from the sun.
Yeah.
Like if you go back and look at me as a child, I'm very, very that it's a pinky white almost.
So veins. People, I've seen, we see it all the time. If you Google something, how do I know my undertones? The veins one comes up, and I just firmly do not believe this gives you enough information. I just really don't. The theory is, just so in case you don't know what it is that if you look at your veins and they are green, veins on your arm are green, then you must have warm undertones. And if you have blue or purple veins, then you must have cool undertones. Okay, well, I can tell you that I'm looking at my veins right now and they look bluish purple to me. But I have warm undertones.
And
It's
where
obvious.
that's coming from is people, because your veins are a bluish color, and they think if you have warm skin and that goes over the blue, that it will appear
Be
green.
great.
That's where the
And for
theory
some
comes.
people that actually does happen. I'm not going to say that all these things that we're going to talk about today, it's not 100% wrong. It's just that it's not 100% right.
Yeah.
Meaning, if I went on my veins right now, I don't, you guys can't probably see that, but like, I don't see how that's telling me my undertones. I just don't. there's other things that I can see. Like my skin is definitely a natural yellow. It's like a natural golden color. You know, it's not like
I
Gail.
can't
It's very
even
pinky
see my
pale.
veins enough to really tell anything. I mean,
Yeah, I just,
people have different thicknesses of their skin.
yeah,
Um, there's all kind of things that can play into this. You may have healthy plump veins. You may have little shrivelly veins. I mean,
yeah.
it's
So
a
I
flawed
just,
idea.
it's just not enough information, period. It's just not. Please don't look at your veins and go, oh, I must be this. It's just not enough information. So that's number two.
Okay.
Let's see here. Third one,
Metals,
huh?
metals,
Metals.
metals, especially in your jewelry.
All right. So the next thing we see often right on Google, right, is, well, if you can wear silver jewelry, you must have cool undertones. And if you can wear gold jewelry, you must have warm undertones. And when we say can wear, I'm going to say that it,
We mean you can wear it and it looks good because
yeah,
technically
I'm
you
just
can
like, well,
wear,
obviously you can wear anything you want, but it just works. Like you're like, oh yes, I can tell that gold jewelry on me looks better than silver. Okay, great. Now that is definitely helpful for sure, especially if you are dominantly warm. Gold, 100%. Silver will look weird on you. And if you are dominantly cool, definitely silver versus gold. Not going to work on you. But there's so many people that are right in the middle that, again, appear neutral. They're not dominantly anything, and they can probably wear both. People that are light and also are very neutral or dark, deep tones and neutral and kind of neutral, can wear both. Yeah, like if you have warm tones, if you have cool undertones, but you still have warm tones, like Gail's got some warmth in her eyes and her skin, you can wear both metals, both silver and gold. And if
especially for
you're someone
me,
that's
like in
warm with,
the summer. I
hmm,
get more gold. I got a lot of gold and I tan. Now I do get a little ruddy because I've got Cherokee Indian. And when you've got a lot of ethnicities mixed in, like you put in the ruddiness of Cherokee Indian with the Northern European and some of the Scandinavian countries I have, I'm a really odd mix ethnicity wise. So I do have that very fair Nordic skin in the middle of the winter, but come see me in August, I'm going to look like I was raised on an island. But it's my tan does have a gold down in it. It's not gold like my husband. He's quite olive compared to me. But even within the redness, there is some gold. And in the summer, I can carry off gold better than I would when I get very, very pale in
yeah,
the winter. So I'm going to say it can be an indicator, but it's not definitive.
see, yeah, it can definitely, there are clues, but even so, don't invest your wardrobe if the fact that you can wear one or the other, or if you can wear both, it does not mean you can wear that you're quote unquote neutral. I guess that's probably our lead into the next one, and then you can wear the full rainbow of colors.
Well,
So
I'll
then,
say that I can get by with gold. It's never going to be my best color. I'm always going to look good. I look good in very bright sterling silver, and we can talk about brightness in one of our other topics. But I think we're looking for what is your best when we're
right,
trying to make a determination. And these are things that a color analyst may use if it comes down to the wire and she's really on
yeah,
the fence. She may look at some of these extra things, but just don't. We're telling you, don't make a decision just based on that. Oh, I can wear this jewelry. So now let's
yep,
talk about rose gold jewelry because I get this all the time. And I have
okay.
this. I don't like it.
You don't like it because it's not for you. So
It's
I
just
mean, I'm
in my opinion, it's not for most people. It's a
it's a
difficult
tough color.
color.
I'm not gonna lie. Like I find that the people that can wear it best tend to have warm undertones and tend not to need a lot of intensity in their coloring in general. So someone who's soft and warm, maybe. Like my daughter is soft and warm, and she wears a lot of rose gold, and it looks really good on her. It looks just right.
And
You don't look at it and go,
it
that's
is a
weird. But
softened gold. I think that's how they get by with it. Now, also, there's a lot of variance in what we call rose gold. You can
yeah,
get jewelry that looks just mauve, which is gross, or you can get what's true rose gold. And if you watched the Super Bowl last night, Erin, what's her name? The female um, anchor, like, what's her last name?
I don't know.
Not Roberts, I don't think. If anybody watches the Super Bowl, you saw her showing a beautiful sequined rose gold kind of silky satin suit. And she is more of a peaches and cream complexion. blonde hair, fair
Yeah.
eyes, warm
Yeah.
skin. It was beautiful. But let me just warn the rest of you, don't go out and buy a rose gold suit because it's going to look like throw up on a lot of you. It's a very narrow margin. Now, I
Yeah.
also do say, you know what I tell my style clients, if you can wear a color that everybody else can't wear, wear it in droves because you're going to look fabulous and stand out and people are going to be in awe.
Yeah.
But it's just a tricky color. It can look really odd on the skin. So only do rose gold if you're absolutely sure. And I do
Yeah.
not think it looks good on people with high contrast or very deep coloring. Do you agree?
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, honestly, it's one of those things is that we always say we're trying to find your best. Rose gold might, like you said, might very well be your best, but it's very likely if, one of the other metals might be even better.
And we're
So,
going to talk a little bit about this more, but also jewelry has to be judged on brightness, which is one of our tenets
mhm,
that we use in determining your color type. Because just because you can't wear bold, shiny, sterling silver like me, if that overwhelms you, that doesn't mean a tarnished, brushed, antique silver, patinaed silver is what I mean, really more than tarnished wouldn't look great on you. You have to understand that all silver is not the same any more than all blue is the same. It's not.
right,
And in gold, there's antique gold, there's
right.
bright yellow gold, there's 24 karat
There's
gold.
rose gold.
Yeah, and that pretend one. The tarnish, patinas, the texture of the metal all makes a big difference when you're choosing jewelry. So again, it's just not, it's an indicator. It just can't be the end all.
I
Okay.
agree, but I would think no matter what, the rose gold definitely leans more to warm people than it does to cool. So
And again, for
that's
the people in the back.
uh, so then let's talk about being neutral. So when someone says, well, I've got blue and green veins, I must be neutral. Or I could wear both gold and silver jewelry, so I must be neutral. And and my response to that, I always get a little nervous when people say that because I feel like it's a dismissive analysis. Well, you're neutral. You're not warm or cool. You're neutral. Well, that doesn't actually tell you anything. What does neutral actually mean? And some people assume that means you can wear the full spectrum, the full rainbow of color. And I absolutely not. That's not what it means. All it really means, in my opinion, is it's a descriptor. It's a word to describe how you appear. You appear neutral. Okay, great. But you will always lean warm or cool. It may not be obvious to the eye when you're staring at the person or at yourself, but you are still going to discover that the warm color palette is going to suit you best or the cool and not both. You don't walk around both wearing magenta, very cool pink, and also golden yellow. Those do not go together. And unless you're just the most unique individual I've ever met in my life, neutral just simply means you appear neutral. Great. All skin tone individuals feel neutral sometimes because they're like they feel like they're in between a bunch of things. And when you feel like you're in between, a professional might say, well, it's because you're neutral. No, that's just not enough information. And I always cringe when someone says that because I don't want them to be misled, meaning they don't have to worry about it. They can just wear whatever they want. And if you're looking for the colors that flatter you, that's not helpful.
Right. And that whole idea, I'll just wear whatever I want. Yeah. And when we say neutral, usually what people are meaning is they are not temperature dominant.
Right.
And I know in your color style, we consider chroma, temperature, and depth. And this is where we can kind of talk about one of our others coming into this too, at the end of this one, when we talk about shades of. Some people don't have a true dominance in temperature, like, and that just means that is when we talk about dominance, we're talking about like, is that easily noticed? Is that the first thing that jumps out at you? Like when you look at myself, my dominance is depth. And
Right.
whatever your dominance is of those three tenets, that has to be addressed absolutely straight up the gate. And I am lesser dominant in, say, temperature.
Yeah.
So Can I lean in and wear some warm shades? Yes. Could I go a little warmer here and there? Yes, not going to be my best, but I can because it's not my most noticed trait or my most significant feature. It's not the one that overrides the others because some of
Right.
us are just colored in such a way that one of those overrides the others. Someone who's claiming to be neutral may not have any of those three that jumps right off the screen. So we're talking about someone that has a mousier hair color, a medium to light skin tone, maybe not a sizzling color of eye. It does not mean they're not
Right.
beautiful. They're a little monochromatic. Maybe
Mhm.
I always say they're they're a lot of beige. Their hair is a form of beige. Their skin's a form of beige. Their eyes may not be
Yeah.
colored. They may be a brown or a gray. And I think those people dismiss themselves as neutral, but
Right.
that's a mistake, right?
I would totally agree. Because how many times have we had clients that have brown hair, brown eyes, light to medium skin, and some lean cool and look like fabulous in like, you know, plums and cool pinks and like, wow, amazing. And then some look amazing in more of the apricots and tomato reds and golden yellows. And they look very similar, but they're not. In fact, if you put them side by side, you would see it. But we don't always have a point of reference when you
And
are
I think
analyzing
sometimes we
people.
call people these labels like, Gail, you're bright, cool, deep. Yes, I'm bright, cool, deep. But also when we give people that type, we're not always saying just you are this. We're saying you look best in this. And some people get very confused in that we're calling you this. Yes, that's a category you fit in.
Yeah.
For the most part, you are that. But the essence of it, tell me if I'm wrong, is that these are the colors you look best in because that's what we're going to test. At the end of
Right.
your analysis, the consultant is going to put some colors on you virtually and drape you. And she's going to know if what else she's looked at is on point and it all comes together. If she gets to that point and something's off, she's going to back up her process. And I love that we do it that way rather than just putting a bunch of colors on someone right out of the gate. We
Yeah.
assess each individual component. Therefore, she kind of knows where to go back to and what might be off rather than just, oh, here's a bunch of colors.
Oh yeah, it's a very small amount of colors that we drape people in. And so when I see people trying to drape themselves in like 12 different colors, that is so overwhelming and not the right process. And so, I mean, we use a very small set of colors to determine your color type. And that doesn't mean those are the best colors. That doesn't mean that those are your best colors. Those are just the colors to help us understand your undertones, your color palette. Then we find the colors that make you shine, that really make your eyes pop and your skin glow and your hair. Like that's when we do that. But we don't do it during the first part of the process. And that is, I think, a mistake that people also do. I'm going to do it myself. I'm going to do it myself. I'm going to find my colors. I've done all this research. I've watched all of, the videos. I'm going to do it. But then they go out and they drape themselves in like 20 colors and they're like, which ones look good on me? And then you go to the color palettes and you try to see like, okay, green looks good on me. So, and oh my gosh, don't do that. Like that is just not the right way to do that. It causes confusion and you can definitely get it wrong. And we don't
Well,
want
and
you to get it wrong.
people, if they're not trained objectively, they're judging the color, they're not judging you.
Right.
And
Right.
people just like a color innately rather than liking
Yes.
you in
Oh
the
my.
color. Those are two very different things.
Right.
And especially as we age, some of us are a little bit, I'm a different color on my face, my neck, and my décolleté because of sun damage. I'm just am. I'm, you know, closer to 60 than I am 50. And, that's the way it is right now. So if you're not trained, you can be very distracted by things like sun damage and um, other things going on.
Yep.
Someone's skin who especially has a lot, I have a skin condition, rosacea. I can be very red at times, um, but my sun damage is brown. So what are we looking at? Now a trained analyst is looking at your true skin, but with that said, we do have to take those in consideration once we start culling down your palette. That's
Yes.
where the individuality of a program like our Style Masters program or working with me as a personal stylist and studying your color style materials we're going to then, okay, you fit in this category, but what is unique about you? Because every person is unique.
Right.
Meaning they could have freckling, they could have sun damage, they could have, I mean, it could be anything that makes them a little bit unique and skew a little bit in a different area of that palette, your eye color. Because we
Your
look
gray
at your
hair.
temperature and depth of your eyes, but we're not going specifically by eye color as far as the shade. Once we get in your palette, then we're going to say which of these shades really make your eyes dance.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of subtlety to it, and it's frustrating for people like us when people don't take it that seriously, I think, and they don't go into the depths of true color theory. You have decades of experience in that. I have decades of experience in makeup and color theory, and we are just looking at different things, and we know what we're looking for. So don't be deluded if you just like a color and it just is a color that's beautiful or the fabric's beautiful. How does it make your skin look? How does it make your eyes dance? How does your hair pop against it?
Okay, so let's talk about brown eyes and green eyes since we're talking about the appearing neutral. This is the number one mistake that I see that people say to me is I have brown eyes, therefore I must have warm undertones. Or I have green eyes and I must have warm undertones. And both are just so not true. And I can understand it. I understand brown feels warm, right? It's that earthy category. It's part of, when you're thinking about the season of fall and all that. I get it, but they're just like every hue that we have, brown also has a range of cool to warm. And someone with brown eyes could have cool undertones. Absolutely. And so
And
then
the brown in your
fortunately,
eye may be cool. Like you
yeah,
see people who have eyes that are very, very dark. Now, if it's a lighter brown, it's almost always warm. Wouldn't you agree?
no, I'm going to disagree with you
Oh,
on that one because
really?
I've seen brown eyes that have like a navy ring around them. I've seen eyes that same
Like it's
depth that
lighter. You're going to
I
show
don't,
me a picture of that later because I can't imagine. I'm thinking about the ambers. Like if you've got that gold and yours gets on that
yeah,
end scale, then that's definitely warm. But if
I
you
would
about
definitely, I would say it's medium, like a medium brown though. Like when you say lighter, I'm thinking lighter
okay,
than that, but
okay,
I
okay.
don't know. Like I feel like there are plenty of people too that have like brown hazel eyes that assume that they must be warm because there might be flecks of yellow in their eyes. And how many times have we seen those brown hazel eyes that have a combination of colors that
Yes.
they're cool. So it's not just about the eye color. And so with green, the same thing. We have people with cool undertones that have gray green eyes. Eyes eyes that appear technically are green, but can appear gray, can appear blue. And like Gail's eyes are like that. And those are cool eyes. Those are a cool undertone. My eyes are green also, but they're a very different kind of green. They're more like blues and turquoises and mint greens and a little bit of yellow. Like it's a very different type of green. So you can't just say, well, I have green eyes. And so here's what we get. I have green eyes. I think I've got blue veins, and I can wear silver and gold jewelry. So what am I don't know. I don't
Do a
know what
color
you are.
analysis
That's
and find out.
yeah,
Too, like when you talk about those browns, I think people need to think of your friend. Like I have a friend, Michelle, and she has eyes that look like black marbles up against the white of her eye. You can't even see her pupil. Hers are
yeah.
cool brown. They're almost
Yeah,
black.
I would think so. I would agree. I think there's always let me just put it out there. There's always an exception, right? We always come across someone, they're like, I would have sworn, but no. But that's often the case. They're often cool. And when someone has such dark eyes like that, the other thing that you might notice is that the whites of their eyes are very, very white or like a
Yeah,
bluish white. They're a cool white.
or
Now, if they're
kind
like a
of
milky yellow, then it happens to be that exception where no, they very well might have warm tones. And these are people that I've also discovered that often will have a little bit of an olive skin tone, a little bit of a medium tone to their skin, where they can appear neutral at first. And it takes a little bit of professional eye to really decipher where they're going and where they're leaning, because it can be a little confusing at first, you know? So
You know what
you,
I love? This is one of my favorites. When people send us a photo of their eye, 1 inch
yeah.
from the camera, and they're like, you see that gold fleck in the right quadrant, that one, well, I must be warm because I am seeing, that marigold
Yeah.
dandelion color up there. So therefore, and I'm like, again, seeing your eye up close can be an indicator of a few things, but I
Yes.
always tell people judge your eye about 5 feet away. How does your eye present? How does
Right.
how does your eye identify? Because if you come up and take my eye apart, there's brown in there, there's amber in there, but I also have a dark outer ring. I have a bluish green in there. But when you look at me across the room, they present as a cool green.
Yeah, like a grayish green. When we say cool green, it's like a not a cool green in this
Almost a
example is
bluish
not a
green.
blue
Okay.
green. It is like a grayish green. In my opinion, whenever you add more of a grayish tone to a color, it tends to cool it down. And so a gray green, in
That's
my
what that
opinion,
outer ring does. If I didn't have that outer ring, I would have a very warm eye because with some shades, my eye can look very
yeah,
warm because
I can see
the
that.
amber will come out, especially when I'm tan. But judge your eye from a distance, y'all, because that's
Yeah.
the way other people see you and that's the way it behaves. Use it as an indicator, but don't, that just makes me lose my mind.
It's a full, you know, people, it's the full picture. It's never just one thing. So stay on topic with that then. Next mistake is, and I will admit openly that I used to preach on this, but I
Uh-oh.
am not correct. Blue eyes mean cool undertones. Now I'm going to also say, uh, that's true a lot of the times. It is true a lot of times, but there is a scenario that it absolutely isn't true, and that is someone that reads as a redhead. Now, you may not have red hair. You may have dark auburn hair. You may have strawberry blonde hair. You may have redheads in the family that has come down the line, and although your hair is brown and you have blue eyes, but your skin is still undeniably warm. And
That's
so
what
I
I
take
call
it
that
back.
peaches
I
and
take it
cream
back. I
girl.
used to say it, but it's only a clue. It's a piece of information we take. Oh, that person has blue eyes. But we have to take into the full spectrum because it's not 100% accurate.
Well, and if you know, that's that peaches and cream girl. She has definitively warm blonde hair. Her undertones, if any, get a little peachy versus rosy, and
Mm-hmm.
people have a really hard time deciphering between those two. And then she has a blue eye. She looks great in warm shades, your peaches, your corals,
Right.
your yellows, your all those. Um, so yeah, I totally agree with you. Blue eyes are not an indicator.
And not an indicator. Now, there are certain types of blues that maybe, but often it's just one piece of information. Now, if you walk, if you show me that you walk up to me and you've got black hair and blue eyes, I'm going to immediately go, yeah, probably cool undertones. Like,
Probably so.
but skin always wins. Skin tone undertones ultimately wins, because hair, as we change it ourselves and it changes over time, and that is not always the indicator. It's just something that is definitely dominant on us because it's our head, it's our hair. And so that can
Let's
sometimes
just get into the
distract.
hair because this is another one that makes me want to pull my own personal hair out of my head is your hair as a child can be an indicator. It can give some clues, but what we find is people come to us and they want to be color typed based on what color their hair was when they were 11 for 30 minutes one summer, or what they have changed their hair color to be. And one of my first questions to people is always, is that your natural hair color? And
Right.
I because your color type, people might say, well, this is the color I'm going to wear it, so we have to type by this. No, we're not going to give you a typing based on something you've done to yourself. That'd be like me putting on warm yellow foundation and telling you to type me with that. We have to type to what you naturally are and truly are.
Right.
you choose to change that, that is not going to change your color type. It may change the colors you decide to wear and the palette you decide to live in. But hair color, I can get on my soapbox all dang day because you people trying to wear all this blonde hair and these freaking blonde highlights all the time make me lose my mind. Everyone was not meant to be blonde. You all don't look good as blonde, and your hairdresser's making out like a bandit trying to make you blonde all the time. Stop it. Just stop it. Stop the madness. I
All right,
don't care.
it's okay. Gail's gonna take a
Gosh.
deep breath and I'm gonna explain a few things. So let's back up a little bit on the child, what you were when you were a kid. So the words we hear all the time. Well, I was born with blue eyes. I was blonde as a child. Um, and those right there. And then we'll get photos, really faded photos of, see, I was blonde at 6. Okay. All right.
Sepia tone photos because it's 1970.
So science behind this. Often babies are born without all their pigment.
100%.
So a lot of babies are born with blue eyes. And then what you'll notice is by the time they're 1 or 2, their eyes have changed to brown. Their pigment is coming in. And they still may be very blonde. They may be little towheads, little blondies. And then by the time they're 8, they have brown hair because your pigment's always changing. So I always tell people, please, please, please tell me what you were after the age of 16. Because puberty, by the way, also throws a fun mix into your coloring and your pigment and your tones. Some people don't have brown hair until they turn 16, until puberty hits. And I know puberty happens earlier than that, but you understand my point. So what I want to know is what you are right now, whether you like it or not. If you don't color your hair, are you naturally gray? Is it white? Is it what do you think it might be? Because right now, like Gail was saying, in
Some people,
her
it's been a while.
soapbox pitch was, often we will get women who have highlighted their hair blonde. It goes a little brassy, especially if their hair was naturally dark. It goes a little brassy, so therefore it comes across warm. And it can be very confusing and distracting to the person's actual color type, especially if they happen to be cool undertones and they have this warm hair. So we ask, what were you before? What are you? Sometimes they misunderstand the question and we'll say, what is your natural hair color? And they will say, well, I was blonde when I was a child. No, 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 no. Right now, if you did not color your hair, what is your color? And not often, sometimes a person doesn't know, so then we have to take clues. We look at the roots of their hair. We do ask the question, well, what were you when you were like 20?
And we know when you're lying. We can see your roots, Kathy.
We've
We
had
can
those
see
too.
your roots, Helen. Anybody. We see those eyebrows, all the some of them colored eyebrows, but some of them will say, well, it's close to this. I'm like, or if you got these big stripes in your hair and you try to tell me that's natural, no, Karen, it's not. It's not. I see you the nape of your neck, sweetie. I see where you didn't get that color down good or where you've grown out. It's just, it drives me nuts that people always assume their natural color is not a great color for them. When put with the right makeup and clothing, I think it's because sometimes their hair color doesn't feel fabulous, and very blonde or very red or very dark can feel a little more exotic or dramatic. But with the right things with your hair, you will then be beautiful and somewhat dramatic and just lovely and
Because
sublime.
everything is meant to be. It's already naturally harmonious. All goes together.
And your natural palette typically is the best one to work in. Now, if you want to go a little bit more in a direction, I don't mind that at all. Like if you have reddish hair and you want to red it up a little bit more, no problem. If you're blonde and you want to change it up a little bit, but these people that have my hair color and want to,
and then they go blonde, right?
And what happens, guys, when you lighten hair is innately somewhat warm by nature. A few people's hair is black. So even people that have brown hair, there's at least, I shouldn't say warm by nature, it at least has some warmth in it. And when you bleach hair,
that's
you
right.
Notice it goes warm. Like my hair goes carrot orange when you start lightening it. So most people, when they lighten your hair, it is adding warmth to your hair because
Yeah.
you're stripping away any cool tones and pigments that are in there. So unless your hair is really well toned, which toner is going to fade over time off of that highlight, you are making your hair warmer when you lighten it. Now, if you're lightening and then coloring back over with a permanent color, then you can get some cool undertones, gradation of color, because a lot of people with my kind of depth want to do that. They want some tonality, and you can definitely go that direction. But if I put just highlights or like try to go with auburn, because often people with hair, my dark, don't know what to lighten up to get some tonality and dimension in there. And you have to go with cool browns, which are very hard to color.
Yeah, it
They
is.
just, again, some people don't understand. Some pigments are difficult to make in certain products like lipstick, foundation, hair color, print inks. Jen and I deal with that all the time. We have a color, but how is it going to print? So when you look at, like for me, I use a 3N hair color. I use a neutral hair color, but it's level 3. People think I'm a level 1. 3 comes out this dark on me, but if I go to 4, there's so much warmth in 4, it leaves my roots what you call hot roots, and they look very coppery, and it does not color the gray. That's the best I can do for my natural hair color, which is a deep, deep, deep cool brown.
But
So
you know what though? I'm gonna challenge some language that you're using, because I think this is to go back to the point of what is your hair color. If you came to me and you didn't know anything about style and color, and you said, Jen, color analyze me. I'm gonna ask you, do you color your hair? You're gonna say yes.
yes.
And I'm gonna say, what is your natural hair color? And your inclination is gonna want to tell me what your natural hair color is. You're gonna say, well, no, it's this is pretty much what it is. No. What is it if you didn't color your hair?
If I do not color my hair right now, I would be silver gray. So again,
And that
would
is the
be
natural
cool.
color of her hair. Now,
And
that
that's
doesn't mean that
why
she's,
you people that think if you go gray, a good idea is to go blonde. Like I had my mother-in-law tell me one time, we don't go gray in this family, we go blonde. And I thought, the hell we do. I'm not going blonde. And I had a very prominent makeup artist and hairdresser tell me one time, because I said, what other color could I go? He said, the only other color you could go would be platinum blonde.
platinum. Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
everything in between where I am now and white blonde, because that's what we mean by platinum, a cool white blonde,
Right.
is warm.
Right.
And so those just would never work for me. But people are like, platinum blonde. I'm like, yes, because it's the polar opposite of what I am now. It's bold, it's
Yeah,
um,
because you need that contrast,
it's bright,
period.
and it's
Right.
cool. So I can tell you, I have a ton of clients. If you ever want to see my portfolio, I'll show them to you, that we have removed these awful warm highlights from their hair, and everything came together for them. Because we have so many women who come to us at Your Color Style and say something's just off.
Right.
And they will tell me, usually they'll tell us after we've made the change, they said, and they'll start digging out old pictures and they'll say, see right here, I was so washed out and I couldn't figure out what it was. They
Right.
changed their makeup, they changed their clothes, they changed
Right.
their lighting, they changed everything. And they didn't realize how long it was their hair. And it's one of the first things I go to, because as a makeup girl, when I go to do someone's makeup, I'm looking at them and I'm going, I can give you the makeup that works with your hair, or I can give you the makeup that works with your face and eyes, but I can't give you both because they're not the same.
Right.
And that's, if you are experiencing a lack of unity or a disconnection, and for some reason it's not all coming together, that could be a clue.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And here's the thing too, to be fair, for those that have like warm undertones that have gone gray, they've decided to let their gray hair, they've embraced it. That could also feel disconnected.
Oh,
That's
God.
usually when we work with you to customize your palette, because some of those colors aren't feeling good. So that doesn't always necessarily, it's not, I would say if it's your natural hair color, it's going to look perfect on you, but it still can be disconcerting when you're trying to find colors to wear that work. And so just to make sure that
Gray hair does
we're
not
not
mean
saying don't go gray. We're
cool.
not saying don't color your hair. We're just simply saying try to stick to what you think is your natural or close to it, and know when you come for a color analysis what it might actually be, because it's easy to have people do it wrong for you because of that. If you say, well, this is close and this is pretty close, and you happen to be a cool color that's colored their hair golden blonde, it could, if a color analyst doesn't know any better, they're going to go, okay, warm golden hair.
And
Okay,
I
check.
told you we know usually, but there are a few of you that are sneaky little Pete's, and we've caught you later because someone's
Yeah.
color analysis will come through, and then they come to me to work for styling, and they start
Yeah.
sending me all these photos. I'm like,
Who are you?
wait just a minute, Sally. Will the real Sally please stand up? And I'll call Jen. I'm like, Jen, did you see all these pictures of Sally Susan? Because Sally Susan does not have blonde hair. She never did. She's
I'm like, no, what are you talking about? No, she's completely white. What are you talking about? No.
like, Sally Sue's a liar. Sally Sue's hair's as dark as mine. She was just hiding it from you because we do based off a lot of photos. And some of y'all get really creative with those photos too. Yeah, we see what you're doing, but there's clues. Clues are there. We will catch you. We are onto you. And I always ask people too, why are you wearing your hair that color? Because I like to see their color process and thought. Were they misled? Because too, what happens with a lot of people who get highlights, they don't just get highlights once. They
Yeah.
go back and have those highlights touched up. And y'all, if you're getting highlights, unless you're paying somebody a buttload of money that you probably don't have, they are not highlighting the same strands of hair. They're just grabbing another. And that's why you get more blonde, more blonde, more blonde. And then you have to be low lighted to get back to where you were. And the point would be why. Now, I have no problem with someone who goes gray if they are warm, using rinses and things to make their gray a little warmer or a little what we call bluer or more silver if they're cool. Because gray can be really funny. We have people who have warm everything and their gray pops in and it has some silver in it and it can really mess them up and they feel really disjointed. So I think tinting gray hair can be a great, but it's more of a wash or rinse. It's not coloring it because women now in midlife are looking for low maintenance. I'm not looking for low maintenance yet. I may go to my grave, call me little Red Lynn. I don't care. I don't feel a different color. It's not to dishonor gray hair. Just I don't think my gray is very pretty. My mom's was. It was glorious. People thought she had it made that way. Also, my gray hair has a different texture. Colored hair will fatten up a little bit because color innately damages your hair. I need that extra because my hair is also falling out in droves. So a lot of us have a lot of reasons for coloring our hair. Just make sure you're coloring correctly and you're going to a colorist that understands temperature and she's not just dumping colors on your head because you asked for them. If she's not asking you questions or challenging you, I would get a new colorist. If my hair,
so I think Gail, that we'll do an episode on hair color going gray. What does all that mean? Because you can tell, like we could talk about this for a whole nother hour, right?
Yeah.
So,
but I will say this: if your hairstylist is not fighting with you on occasion, you need a new one because she's probably not being honest with you. We all need to be told.
Not every hairstylist has a good eye for color or has been trained. Right. Like,
And if you
I
go to
actually
the
get,
best salons, they separate stylist and colorist.
yeah.
The very, very top tier salons, because those people, it's not that stylist can't do color, but that's not where they spend their every waking moment studying. They separate their stylists so their stylists and their colorists can focus on what they absolutely do best. Highly recommend.
All right. Well, Gail, I'm done with my list. I think we've done it.
I've got one more that we didn't put on our list.
Oh, what is?
I have olive skin, so it must be warm. Oh,
Yes.
look at your face.
Okay, so I have to give the definition of olive skin tone for those who don't.
Love it. And let me just say for the record, for the three listeners we have, that Jen is a specialist in both gray hair and olive skin tone. And it's part of what our system is known for. If you look us up on the World Wide Webs out there, Jen Vax speaks to olive all the time.
All the time. because it's it's not necessarily unique. It's just that it is a color, it's a skin tone that's not addressed often, and they get typed incorrectly. So there are two different types of olive skin tone individuals, and I'm generalizing things. Please, if you have olive skin tone, I'm not trying to say you're one or the other. This is a generalization. I'm going to do the best I can. There are two different types. One type is dominantly green. We've seen it. It's absolutely true. The skin has a distinct greenish hue to it. Or you could be dominantly yellow, and your skin has a distinct yellow vibe to it. Now, those are the people that are often typed warm, and that doesn't mean that it's incorrect. What we're learning is, and I will say learning, because the more different types of people that are brought into your color style, the more I'm like, oh, I always say this, but that, and I'm always learning, and I will say, be fully transparent on
And
this.
people like to put olive people in one tiny little
Yeah,
hole.
and that's not the
They're
case
not.
at all. No, so for those that are more on the yellow spectrum of olive, I can see how they're typed warm and may not be incorrect, but there's another level to the color analysis that should happen for that person, which is to then customize their colors and remove things that are enhancing the yellow in an unattractive way, in an undesirable way, because
It makes
sometimes
you
those,
look jaundiced. We're going to
yeah,
take
some of those yellows, not great. And the same is going to be true for those those dominantly green tend to look best in the cool color palettes. Does that mean you have cool undertones? I think olive is olive. I think that it's sort of like just who you are. It is your tones. And I feel like it has a lot more to do with, let's find your base color palette and then let's customize it further. So I would say with
Because
someone that's dominantly
there
green,
are those people that almost have a gray green cast to
yeah,
their.
it's like a gray green, right? And I feel like for those type of people, we want to put some vibrant colors on you. We want to put usually the cool color palette, because the magentas balance out that green really nicely, and they're a little bit more vibrant to kind of pop that skin that might feel a little flat. But we will also still go in there and customize it further, because the greens can enhance that green tone to your skin, and green is in cool color palettes. Green is both a warm
But
and
I
a cool
find they
color.
look
It is
best in
both.
the blue greens,
Yeah, exactly. The
like your
further away.
pine green, your hunter green, your
Yeah,
teals, because that balances that green
it
and yellow
does.
maybe in their
Yep.
skin.
There's a whole bunch of color theory around how to decide that, which we cannot talk about that right now, but I will put a note
And
down
I
for us.
think that's where too we start to talk about people's ethnicity,
Yeah.
because certain people groups have, just like your Nordic people tend to be very pale and icy, people who may be islanders, who may be Asian, there's some definite color differences in their skin. And knowing that, like if you don't present as Asian in your physical, like your eye features, your hair depth, but you know that your grandmother was Japanese, tell us that when you have your analysis, because that may help explain some things that we think we may be seeing. It's just like me,
Right.
I have to tell people, look, I have Cherokee Indian. Anything that can make your skin red, I'm going to get red. If you rub my skin, if you tan my skin, if you have my rosacea, my pimples are red, I get red easily, whereas my husband's skin does not. And we'll be riding down the road comparing our tan. It's a thing we do. We both want to be the darkest. I know it's a sick dynamic for this time zone, but we do. And he always looks more golden compared to me. So sometimes you're not going to notice how gold your skin seems or how gray, cast, or pink until you get beside someone who's your polar opposite, and you'll be like, oh, wow. Now, one other thing we I think we skipped on our list is not understanding chroma and depth of color, because people will say, well, I can't wear orange, so I'm not warm, or I look great in pink, so I can't be warm. And that is just so untrue, because all colors live on a spectrum and live in a range. And so, like when it comes to colors like pink, we have warmer pinks and we have cooler pinks. Pink is innately cool. The
Yep,
colors it's
true.
made up of magenta and cyan. That's right, isn't it?
That's
Magenta.
right. Listen to
Still
you.
getting better on that color wheel with my, I give layman's terms and Jen science terms and we have to meet in the middle. But those two colors, of course it's going to be cool, but then you can throw in a little bit more that makes it feel more warm. So you get into some of your coral pinks, your
Yeah.
warmer pinks, your almost sandy kind of pinks. So saying you can or cannot wear a color, there are very few colors that are deciders like that. And
Yeah,
those
it's
are
very
some of the
few.
ones that your analyst may use, those tipping point colors.
Right.
Like and some of your neutrals are tipping points. They really show what your true.
That's true. That's true. And then there's some that are very neutral and they're not going to tell you anything, right? So especially if you're a pure neutral, you might discover that gray works great on you, but that doesn't necessarily mean, and there's always warm. There's just such a wide range and spectrum of all the hues, and that includes the neutrals that, like, I would agree. There is very few colors that I would say don't wear that, because that general statement of, I can't wear blue. Well, there's always a blue. It may not be the blue that Gail's wearing
As
in this
soon as you
video.
tell me that,
Right.
I'm going to the World Wide Web and shopping for the perfect blue for you because
Right.
I'm going to
Because
bring
there's just so many nuances in colors, so many nuances in it. And we just, th- that doesn't help you. Like, so there's such a much smaller set of colors, that there's such a large range of universal colors, that when someone says, well, I can wear green so well, so I must have warm undertones, not true. Greens great on both cool, warm, etc. There's just a huge range of colors that look good on everyone. And we don't use those at first when we're doing analysis. So when someone says, I look
people
so
call us
great in
that all the
blue, not
time.
enough,
But if they mention red, teal,
right? Blue, green,
true hot pink, royal blue, I'm like,
yeah, not
that
enough.
told me absolutely nothing,
Yeah.
because those a true coral, they look good on about 90% of our
Right.
population can wear those
And
colors.
honestly, most people, the way they describe a color is their own version of the color in their head. And when someone says blue right now, if everyone's thinking of a version of blue, and it's not the same blue. If I say green, everyone thinks of a green right now, and they're not thinking the same green. And so we do ask people what colors they get compliments on, or what colors they like to wear, because it does give us some clues, but mostly we want to know, simply for your own personal benefit and personality, that if you love wearing red, we want to know, and then we're going to help you find your best version of that red, which might be a cool one or a warm
That's
one or
something we
something
do
like
with
that.
our Style Masters membership. We really get in the minutia of the different
Yeah, we do.
of a shade. We go
Yeah.
deep into that. So we've even proven this month, yes, redheads can wear pink and people who are very
Yep.
warm can wear pink. It's a matter of which pink. Also, the same thing comes down to, people say about white. Well, I can't wear bright white. You can still be cool, but you may be a soft cool and you need a little less than Arctic white. I'm an Arctic white girl. Give me
She
the
is.
bluest, brightest white, and I'll wear head to toe, and I love it. But some of my clients, they're cool. They're dominantly cool, but they need it the volume turned down just a little bit off neon to
Less
a
sharp.
little creaminess to it. And I'll tell you where we see, just one more thing when we go back to highlights, where I think it really messes people up is people who have brown hair, but they're cool, because their brown hair is more of a cool brown. And the minute they highlight it, it gets
Gonna go,
warm
yeah, it goes warm.
because they have brown hair. And then they see this blonde in it. They definitely think, and I also think those people with brown hair, but they're cool, where I was going with this is those people do look better in a creamier white, but it's cream, ivory. It's not tan or sand or beige.
Right.
It's just a touch of yellow or a touch of gray that brings that white off neon luminescent light bulb white that
Right.
some of us who are super cool in a lot of ways. Because even though I've got some gold, I can wear the coolest of the cools. So those are some of the things we look at. Like,
Yep.
we can tell the difference in bright white and a creamy white, and we know innately what to try against your, I shouldn't say innately, we know through action and education and
Yeah.
experience what to
Yep.
try to get it right. So I'm going to end with this, Jen, and you can agree, is
I can agree. You sure? What if I don't?
I mean, you can agree or not. That's what and sometimes it's not, y'all. Sometimes we're there in the floor virtual, like, no, I'm going to die on this hill. I believe this. And we often have to use the words, well, you were right. But now you made me forget where I was going with that. Oh, some people think color analysis is here to limit them and tell them what colors not to wear. And we want to challenge you with the idea that color analysis should actually expand your palette. It should eliminate a lot for you, but it should give you clarity, and it should give you a big, beautiful palette of colors to wear. And some colors you've never considered because you tried a brown or you tried a blue and it wasn't for you. We're going to find the blue and the brown that you can wear. So it should actually expand your palette, not limit it. So don't let those kind of thoughts keep you from giving color analysis a try.
I would also say, I would agree. First of all, I agree, Gail.
I
I
thought you were going to say you didn't
agree with
agree. I'm going to go
you.
bullshit if you said you didn't agree. I was going to call you out.
But I will also say that the idea of limit is not a bad thing. Let's be real. We wear the same colors pretty much all the time. I cycle through the same colors. I mean,
You
every
sure
once in a
do.
while I'll buy something a little bit different, but in general, within my palette, we only wear, we'll say 6 colors tops. Most people don't have a full rainbow of colors in their closet. I'm the color guru and I do not have all rainbow, except for Gail. But Gail is Gail. Gail is larger than life, bold, and yes, she's got
But I
colorful
do
jewel
have
tones.
93 white tops and
Yeah.
93 pink pieces.
Yeah, so pink, white, blue for you, right? For me, ivory green,
We talk
peach.
about signature colors
Yeah.
within the system
So
too.
so
I believe
limit is not
that.
a bad thing. What it is that is it's like with any kind of creative process, right? When you're building your wardrobe and put it into your best colors, your best neutrals, and all the colors that make you shine, it's a creative process, and you got to have some guardrails to
That's
help you be
homework.
creative within.
Instead
It's
of
like,
limits, I like guardrails and boundaries.
yeah,
Here's where we're going to live. But
yeah.
it's way broader, I think my point is, than you think it
Yeah,
is.
than you think it is for sure. And so it's not limiting, I should say. It's really what it's doing is it's giving you that definition and that clarity that you need so that you can now be creative within that space. And
Because
in
I think
that still might be very simple for you, but doesn't have to be, you don't have to buy the rainbow. Just within
when
that.
I
And
start working with them on styling,
yeah,
I probably add color more than I take color away. And I just want to bring
yes,
that up because I think a lot of people are fearful that we're
yes.
going to rip your favorite color out of your little
Yeah. Or
fingers.
or they've been defaulting to black and neutrals and beige for so
I
long.
will rip black out of your fingers. I'm not
Yeah, and
going
beige in some cases, beige needs to kind of go too, right? Ditch the beige and let's get into some color, but it doesn't mean you have to be a rainbow. Just that's not what color analysis is about. Color analysis is helping you start to really rediscover and reconnect with who you are, and so that you can express yourself and feel more like yourself. How so many of our clients will tell us, I feel so much more like myself now. And that it just
to.
warms my heart. That's
And
what we
Jen, that's
want,
what I
that
love so much
confidence.
about the system you created and founded, that we give people all those choices, but because of the way your analysis works, they know the why. Rather than just being handed, I say this all the time, a sheet of colors, you go home, good luck. They walk away understanding chroma, hue, and depth.
Yeah,
So they know how to judge a color, and
yeah,
they know once they get their palette which colors are going to work best and why. And when something is not right, they know where to go to make it right. And it's really important, especially like in makeup. Like if I get a lipstick and it's not right, they know what to do. Does this need to be brighter, softer, cooler, warmer, lighter, deeper?
right.
They know that because of what we've said to them, and then we teach them even how to do it. So
Yeah.
why you're the best, Jen.
Oh,
So
stop it. Oh, keep
for
going.
all three of you out there, until next time, go and get your Moxie on. Bye now.
Bye.